live or not? Live. All right, hold on a second. I think my cords are messed up. Let's see. Okay, I think it's better now. I just unplugged it and plugged it back in. It's dumb how that works. Anyway, hello, welcome to the live stream. Weekly live stream. I meant to start a little bit earlier, but I kind of slept in today, so is it too low? Does it need to be turned up? Do you guys like my new little overlay? I trying to make the stream look a little legit, you know? You feel me? So we're back to I guess a normal live stream. Last week we had a guest and sort of a little discussion. I don't know if you guys caught that. It was pretty interesting though. I did a little poll to see if people liked that and wanted to see more of that, and it seemed like most people were either like, yeah, or you know, whatever, we'll watch whatever you make. So I think it's just the cord on the microphone is kind of messed up or something. I need to get another. Just need to replace. Actually, I think I have another one. The lag? What do you mean the lag? The delay? Or is it out of sync? Oh, you're just talking about the time from when you when you type it when it shows up? Yeah, there's gonna be a little bit of delay. This is part of the internet. Although you can there's a setting that you can do where it's supposed to be like almost instantaneous. But I think that just it like puts a higher strain on your internet and computer. And I have a shitty computer, so I just don't want to make it work any harder than it needs to do. I have decent internet though, so maybe that would work. Anyway. Let me check my social media, make sure that people understand I'm now live. Word. Oh yeah, I meant to respond to you. I don't have a PO box. I've been meaning to get a PO box for like 3 years. So like, you know, some longtime viewers might remember when I was talking about getting a PO box. But I just never have done it yet. I need to get one. I will get one probably pretty soon, actually. I just got distracted because there's this thing, this like microphone connector thing that I was looking for this earlier, like right before the stream, and I was like, where the fuck is it? And it was literally right here in front of me. It's like partially obscured by my keyboard, and that's why I didn't see it. But I'm like, really, I feel really stupid because I was looking for it for like 20 minutes, and it was just right there, and it just happened to catch my eye. That's really annoying. Anyway, have I ever done a video on climate change? I don't think so. I don't know. There's certain things that I don't like making videos about because I feel like it's just too basic. I mean, I guess you can go into detail about climate change in a way that's not basic. But I feel like the main thing that I don't know, I feel like my videos don't usually go into that much like intricate detail, like with the jargon and stuff. And I think that's the only way that I would make a climate change video that was interesting. Because I'm definitely not going to do the "Is climate change real?" video, because I feel like that's insulting to the intelligence of my audience. And also, I don't like to make videos about whether or not facts are true. I've made some videos like that before, and I've decided that I'm going to try not to do that anymore. But if I can think of a unique angle to go at it from, then I'll do it for sure. Electric Lomain, thank you for the $5 super chat. Electric Lomain is always on point. What up, T1J? Is your family getting together for holidays? What foods are you looking forward to? My family is getting together for Christmas. I'm not even sure what we're having. But my family, like, I have the combination. I have like the trifecta of like food eating family. My family is black for one. They're Southern, and they're it's actually 4. They're also the like Latino, Hispanic, whatever word is correct now. I'm not sure what you call it. And they're from the Caribbean. So that's like the ultimate combination of a family to have to eat good food at the holidays. So you never know what we're gonna get. We're gonna have. We usually have like the like Spanish rice. And there's probably gonna be like turkey and ham and stuff, and always macaroni and cheese. So I dig how you don't entertain people debating over facts. Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing. I'm starting to think about it a little more. Like sometimes people are just ignorant. Like sometimes ignorance is not someone's fault, but the problem that I have is when someone argues as if they know what they're talking about. That's what gets to me. When someone says something that's just factually not true, and they just argue for it like hardcore, as if they're right. And you know for a fact that they haven't done any research, because if they did, they wouldn't be saying something that wasn't true. But sometimes people just get stuff wrong, and that's just because they just don't know. And that's a little bit, I have to be a little bit more compassionate in situations like that, I think. But there are some things like climate change, for example, that I think we should be past. At least, people who have the internet and people who have TV we should be past that. I liked your last video. It was interesting since I know literally nothing about football. Yeah, I wasn't hesitant to make the video, but I know that I have a lot of subscribers that don't really give a single shit about sports. But I was hoping that the subject matter would be interesting enough so that even people that don't care about sports would want to watch and would make them think about it. I have had fried turkey. I like fried turkey. I pretty much just like food. The only food that I just straight up refuse to eat is olives. Olives are gross. They're gross and an abomination. I'm so bored of the white people food my family makes. What that means is you need to learn to cook and go find some good recipes. Yeah, denying climate change is like suggesting the earth is flat. But the climate change, I think that it's a little bit more nuanced than that, just to be fair. There's several different questions, like, is the earth warming? That question is basically like, yes. And then it's like, are humans the cause of it? And again, the scientific consensus is that the answer is yes. And then it's like, okay, is it a huge problem? Is it a problem we need to start thinking about right now? And then that's where more arguments come in. But again, most smart people say yes. So, there's a little bit more to it than just the initial question. But there's less debate. There should be less debate over a lot of these things. But I think sometimes there's an interesting angle you can take, because like a lot of things are taken for granted on my channel, because that's just, I don't want to insult people's intelligence, and you have to know your audience for sure, or at least the audience that you want to have. Like, for example, if you think Trump is a good president, you're just not my target audience. I mean, you're free to watch the videos and and comment and communicate, but I'm not going to try to convince you that Trump is a good president, because that's just kind of taken for granted on my channel. And it's sort of a similar thing with this, with other kinds of stuff. Is it too loud? I think I saw it peaking. Hello. Check. But even though the thing I just said about Trump, I still had made videos about Trump, because there's different angles you can come at it with. I like anchovies. Anchovies are better than olives for sure. I don't think there's anything that I would choose olives over. It's such a gross little thing. I need to I need to get the positioning of my mic right and maybe get my pop filter back or get another pop filter. But I know if you if you talk into the mic at an angle, it should help with the plosives. But I also wanted to pick up my voice. I hate when I go to a store or something or a restaurant and they have because I really like pasta salad, but like most restaurants when you order pasta salad, it's like pre-made and it has olives in it. It's like, well, I can't get that. Might be a little early to ask, but how you feel about New Year's resolutions? I mean, New Year's resolutions I think are just like any other goal. I think they're fine. The problem with goal setting and the problem with I guess New Year's resolutions is a lot of people make unrealistic goals. So if you make realistic goals and actually put an effort into it, like some people are like, I'm gonna transform my body, in the next 6 months, and it's like it's possible, but if you are not a person that has put that much effort into that before, you shouldn't expect to just randomly do it out of nowhere. You got to build up to things. So I think a better New Year's resolution would be like, okay, I'm going to go to the gym once a week starting off, and then you can build up from there. But I'm in favor of anybody trying to better themselves and trying to make set goals. And I think another thing about the New Year's resolution thing is that we kind of demonize failure too much. Like every year there's an article about how everyone quits their New Year's resolutions by the 15th or something, and it's like it's okay to fail at something. You just, as long as you keep trying, because I think it demotivates us even more when we fail and we feel like, well, I'm a failure, I might as well not even try anymore. Like, the process of improvement is trying and failing and then trying again and then failing and then trying something else and then failing and then trying and then get a little bit further this time, and then you fail and you try. Like, that's how it works. So I think that's another problem with the whole New Year's resolution thing, is we kind of demonize failure. Speaking of transforming your body, how's working out going? I haven't worked out. It's kind of been a minute since I've worked out. I kind of took a hiatus, but I actually am planning to go work out tomorrow. But it's a combination of like the person I usually work out with has been really busy with like work and school, and also it's been really cold, so no one has wanted to leave their house. But the plan, I actually just got a text from my friend. He said he's trying to lift tomorrow, so I'm gonna try to make that happen. I've still been eating pretty good though. Have I done any dialectical behavior therapy? No. You see themes or talking points of it pop up a lot in your work when you discuss mental health. Well, I guess that just comes from the research that I've done. I haven't done it myself, but I've definitely done a lot of research on my own about that sort of thing. I mean, you have to keep going after failing. That's the only way that you're gonna get anywhere. Like, if you have to succeed the first time you try something, you're gonna have a bad time, because that is rarely gonna happen. And I think that's why it's good to try to find things where you actually enjoy the process, rather than you just struggle through something before you get to the end goal. Like, for example, if I had to succeed at being a YouTuber, and if I failed, I quit, then I would have quit like 6 years ago. Do you have any man crushes at the moment? Not in particular. I mean, my all-time man crush is John Stamos, but I don't know what he's been up to lately. If you could be a guest on Joe Rogan's podcast, what would you want to talk about? I don't know. It's hard to say. The Joe Rogan's podcast is sort of all over the place. It just kind of goes with whatever happens to come to the people's minds at the time. So I'm not sure. I'd be willing to talk to him about anything though. With working out, do you focus on just weightlifting, or do you do other things like cardio? I focus on lifting. I don't do any cardio. Although I might need to, because I kind of want to lose more weight. But I'll have to find a type of cardio that's fun or interesting to me. Like, I hate running and like exercise machines. Like, it's just so mind numbing to me. So I was like thinking maybe I could like play basketball or something for some cardio. Could you do any videos on PC language and your opinions on it? Well, depending on what you're talking about, I've definitely done videos relating to that. I have a video called Political Correctness and Censorship. I have a follow-up video to that called That Said You Shouldn't Be a Dick. I have a video called Inclusive Language. There's probably a couple others. It's something that I was pretty interested in a few years ago, so I made a lot of videos about it. How much do I bench? I don't know, not a lot. I'm pretty weak. I don't ever try to max out. I just do like not light, but I do lighter weight and go for reps. So I'm not really sure what my 1 rep max is for bench. But I've been sort of building up, but I do like 150, like 3 sets of 10, something like that. I pretty much was a beginner less than a year ago in terms of weightlifting. I've kind of messed around with it throughout the years, but I only got serious about it like less than a year ago. Maybe like 6 months ago. Is there a specific plan for this live stream? No. Generally, the streams are just Q&A streams. People just ask questions and make comments, and we just kind of we just kind of hang out. Maybe in the future we'll have more like topical or formatted live streams, but for the most part, the Q&A streams usually go well. Do you think during the Me Too movement and current climate that people accused are assumed to be guilty and have to prove their innocence instead of starting at innocence first? Sometimes I think that that's sort of like thinking about it in the wrong way. Like the whole innocent until proven guilty thing, that's like that's a legal construct. That's not a concept that you use in your normal everyday life. In your everyday life, you kind of look at the context and figure out how to react. Like for example, if you're on your way to the bank, for example, and then someone comes running out of the bank, and you're like, and they tell you, hey, don't go in there. Someone is in there robbing the bank. You don't need to go in there. You're not gonna be like innocent until proven guilty. Like you're not gonna. That's not that's not like a thing that you just apply to all situations. So it's I think the idea of that is sort of flawed to begin with. But what we've learned, when it comes to sexual assault and things like that, what I think that we've learned as a society and what I think has proven to be a more rational and more effective and more compassionate way to be by default is to believe women, and not just women, but believe the accusers. This has nothing to do with the legal aspect of it. When they go to court, they're innocent until proven guilty for sure. But in day-to-day life, it's just much more compassionate. It's much more effective. It's much more logical to believe the accusers. So if you count that as saying they're guilty before proven innocent, then yeah, I guess. But that's just the wrong way to think about it. Because I mean, and I guess if the reason that you do that is because it's important for one, any study that's been done on this, and it's hard to do a study on this, but everyone that has been done has concluded that false accusations of sexual assault and sexual harassment are extremely, extremely rare, which means the vast majority of the time that someone accuses someone of that, it's true. So it's literally more rational to believe people because they're telling the truth most of the time. But beyond that, it's important for people to be believed so that they are encouraged to come forward when things happen, because we need them to come forward when things happen. And if they think that no one's going to believe them, then they're much less likely to come forward. So that's why I say that it's much more logical and effective to believe people, because that gets, that's the most effective way to get justice. I like how loose these streams are. Could go in any number of directions. I agree. Sometimes I think it would be cool to have like a nice little, like a live show that's like formatted, and I know everything is planned. That might be cool, but I also like this. So I've heard that to build strength, you go heavy weights for 5 reps and do like 6 sets. Yeah. There's different things. There's different methods you can do depending on what your goals are. But The 5x5 or 5x6 is definitely a very common thing for people that are just trying to build strength. I guess it's a kind of a combination of strength and muscles, or hypertrophy, which is basically just making your muscles look bigger. But I'm mostly doing it for the look, and for if you're doing it mostly for the look, it's all about more reps, a little like slightly lighter weight and more reps. But if you're doing it just to get strong as fuck, then yeah, you want heavy weights and less reps. Hello, Bob RM2K3. Can you read my name? I no. Kresimir Golik. There's actually, I wonder if doing there's only 22 people watching, which is actually really low for normal. Is there something going on? Did my YouTube mess up or something? I wonder if using the live events, because last week we had like over 100 viewers, and I wonder, and I don't know if you guys know, but on YouTube there's two ways to live stream. You can do basically live stream now, which is basically you just go to the live stream and then set up your thing and then just hit stream and it starts. Or you can use live events, which is the thing where you like schedule it and you set everything up and there's like a countdown timer. And I wonder if you use the live events, does that like result in more viewers? Hello, Patrick. It's going well. I just woke up like an hour and a half ago. Will 2018 be the year of Swole T1J? Maybe. I hope so. I'm probably gonna have to drink less alcohol for that to happen. I think that's my number one downfall in terms of my body goals is alcohol. Because I'm doing everything else pretty well. I'm working out. I'm eating pretty decently. Like my diet is the best it's ever been. Good week for Alabama, eh? Yeah. I mean, we narrowly avoided electing a bigoted pedophile to the Senate, so that was pretty cool. But this is just kind of a first step. Alabama's got a long way to go, but it feels good. It makes you a little bit optimistic, but I'm sure we'll probably fuck up again soon. Like we've got a governor's race coming up, and it's, you know, I would be very surprised if a Democrat won that, unless they find another awful Republican. You can always get on the roids. I guess, you know, you're not wrong. Has Moore conceded yet? I don't know. I haven't even checked the news today. Probably not. I love how people are proud of that. I mean, should that not be the norm? There's a lot of things that aren't the norm in America that should be the norm. You got to take what you can get, especially in a place like Alabama. In Alabama, you take what you can get for sure, because this place is completely ass backwards on a lot of things. Jesus. Why are the Packers so bad? Anyway, it's got an update about football scores. Speaking of football, my last video was about football. We talked a little bit about that at the beginning of the stream, but if you haven't watched it, you should go watch it. Are you doing any cardio? I'm not doing any cardio. Maybe I should, though. Does that help with the alcohol thing? I read what I read, I remember there's a video, like a old popular video by Elliot Hulse, who you might know. This is like a really popular fitness YouTuber. But he suggests, you know, just getting up every morning and taking a walk, like a brisk walk on an empty stomach for just like 30 minutes to an hour. And that's supposed to like help you burn them calories. I just don't want to do that. That just seems boring. I'm going to want to go back inside after like 8 minutes. America is a very problematic country. There's good things about America, but overall America's pretty flawed, and it's sad. And I think part of the problem is that a lot of Americans, including completely well-meaning Americans, don't like to admit how flawed this country is and all the problems here, because we're sort of brought up with this idea that America is the greatest country of all time, forever and ever, and you can't criticize it too much or else you're not being a patriot. So it kind of makes you a little bit uncomfortable to admit that America kind of sucks. And fully acknowledging that there are obviously worse countries in the world. I'd rather live in America than Saudi Arabia, but America, it's got some problems, and until people sort of acknowledge those problems, it's hard to imagine them going away. Do I follow any soccer teams? Not really. I keep up a little bit with just different national soccer teams, but I don't follow it for sure. I honestly don't even follow football that much. I just kind of like keep up. It's mainly because I don't watch TV, but I just try to keep up with little things every now and then. Like, I try to keep up with the USA team, and my mom is from Panama, so I try to keep up with the Panama team. Panama like fucking destroyed USA like a month ago or something. I don't follow any of the like European teams and stuff, or the like American teams. The only sport that I literally follow religiously is Alabama college football. That's like the only thing that I just make sure I watch every game. I visited LA in January, but not planning anything for a very long time. Lots of places to visit. LA is cool. I don't know. LA, I think LA, people have very mixed reactions to LA. It kind of depends on what kind of person you are. I think LA suits my personality. It's like just a bunch of like starry-eyed liberals walking around, I guess. But I've heard that there's a there's sort of a culture of putting on a facade and trying to appear to be bigger and more successful than you are. And that's, you know, that's kind of troubling, but you kind of see that in a lot of places. TSA were assholes. I can't imagine going to the airport. It's fucking awful. I can't imagine what it's like for people from other countries trying to use the airport in America. It's got to be a pain in the ass. Ever try intermittent fasting? Not really. I've kind of tried it before, but it's hard for me to do because I like to snack throughout the day. And it's hard, you know, I know that, you know, most of it takes place while you're sleeping, but like still there's like a good, depending on what your fasting period is, you know, there's still like a good 8 hours or so where you don't eat. And I don't know if I could do that. All right, Emric, thank you for coming to the stream. Is it weird being a progressive in such an unprogressive country? Well, I mean, in some ways, yeah. I mean, the more, you know, as days go by, more and more, I kind of realize that my values just don't kind of sit in line with the values of this country. And even, you know, the party that's supposed to represent the left just seems very non-progressive, basically. You know, there are a couple of candidates in there that seem pretty progressive, but overall, it just I don't feel represented, and I don't feel like I don't identify with that. But at the same time, there are a lot of progressive people in America. You know, everywhere you go, you can find these people. So it's not like I'm just like alone in a country of fucking, you know, right wingers. You know, there's people everywhere. It's just that we aren't really represented in the highest levels of government. And to some extent, I mean, you can't really expect that. Like, there's a reason that, you know, America's never going to elect a communist. That's just not going to happen anytime soon. Because not everybody's a communist, you know. It's fine. You know, I think everyone probably would like a candidate that just 100% reflects their views, but that's just not going to happen. But you need someone that has, you know, reasonable fact-based policy positions, and you're probably going to find someone that's a little bit between you and, you know, whatever the other side might be. And that's fine. But the problem is everybody is way over here. Like, I'm chilling over here and everybody's way over here. And it's like, I don't identify with any of these people. That's why I was a big supporter of Bernie Sanders, because I felt like Bernie Sanders was closer to the actual people. Like, actually, I feel like his policy positions were closer to the actual left in America. But the problem is the right is so far right that it's hard for any left candidate to really reach across the aisle. And that's the problem with our party politics. People don't even bother trying to appeal to people in the other party because they're so far apart. And that's why the country is always so divided. Do you think there's any way we would ever get rid of the two-party system? I mean, we could. I don't think that anybody in the government wants to, though. I think the easiest way to naturally get rid of the two-party system would be to change the way we vote, namely to change first past the post to something else. give people more than one vote, basically. Because as CGP Grey pointed out in one of his videos, as many of you have probably seen, any voting system where it's winner take all, everybody gets one vote, and the person with the most votes wins, that always is going to eventually result in a two-party system, because people will start voting strategically, and they'll stop voting for the people they want and start voting for the people that they think that are going to win. But if you have 2 votes, for example, you can vote for the person you want, and then you can, for your second vote, you can vote for someone that's, you know, not as good as the person you want, but maybe has a better choice of winning. Yeah, I agree. Bernie isn't a socialist. But I kind of feel like he was not trolling, but I feel like he like intentionally said that to sort of, I don't know. I think he was trying to sort of rile things up. He's trying to ruffle some feathers with that. Or it's possible he just didn't understand the difference between those two things, which probably most people don't understand the difference. I barely understand the difference. I don't think you should expect to see a candidate that you totally align with, because I don't think that any two human beings have the exact same views. Do you think everyone is really that polarized, or is the fact that we only have 2 parties makes it worse? Well, yeah, I mean, the fact that we have 2 parties is like the reason that we're polarized, because it's basically, you know, it's basically come to a point where you feel like you have to pick a side, because the 2 parties are so like completely different from each other that it's like you just kind of pick the one that is closer to how you feel. And the way that the propaganda works is like you the other side is the enemy. They're villains. They're trying to ruin America and ruin your life. I mean, it's all propaganda for sure. I think if you sit down and talk to a human being one-on-one, you'll find a lot of common ground just based on the fact that you're human beings. Like that's just how humans are. You know, you don't come out of the womb wanting to make enemies and pick sides. But propaganda and like mob mentality, just, you know, it makes this air of polarization. Pew Research poll: political polarization. I'll make a note of it. I feel like I know I don't like capitalism, but I'm not entirely sold on socialism. I mean, that's fair enough. I lean more towards capitalism than socialism. Just like a reformed version of capitalism. I'm not sold on socialism at all. I don't even, it doesn't align with my views at all. But it's fine for people that feel that way. I have a lot of friends that are socialists. Do you know the term amatanormativity? I don't know what that is. That's the idea of packaging. You can only get politicians who represent a big package of ideological positions, at least in a representative system. Yeah, and I mean, that's fine, I guess. Honestly, like my problem is that we have politicians that don't, and maybe this happens with any political system, But we have politicians that just don't give a shit, really. They don't. They're not concerned about what makes the world better. They're not concerned about what's evidence based, which apparently we can't say anymore. No. They don't care about stuff like that. They just care about these ideological points on a checklist so that they can appeal to their base. Like this is one of the reasons why I respected Ron Paul, even though I like completely disagreed with about like 70% of the things that he said, is because I believed that he believed what he was saying was true. I believed that he genuinely thought that his ideas would make the world a better place. And I respect that because I don't feel that way about any politician. It is the idea of one true love that people should try to find a romantic interest at the expense of other things in their lives. People who are ace, arrow, poly, the one. Oh, well, I mean, that's dumb. I don't agree with that. T1J is going to turn into a he speaks his mind Trump voter. Not really. That's the thing about Trump. Trump very clearly doesn't give a shit. He obviously doesn't give a shit about what's evidence based. And that's what's interesting about Trump is people always, they talk about him like, people say like he just tells it like it is, which is like he doesn't at all. Nothing he says is true. He's just an asshole. I think people have like conflated being an asshole with telling it like it is. What about socialism you don't like? Well, I mean, I think people have different ideas in their head when they say the word socialism, so I kind of hesitate to answer questions like that. But I don't believe in worker ownership of the means of production. I believe in private property. I believe in hierarchies. I think that bosses should get paid more than workers. Stuff like that. You gotta ask a more specific question, I guess. Do you think Trump being elected makes it seem less out there that we could elect someone as radical as a communist or a socialist? Not really. Because it's America. The thing about Trump is, even though he was like a bizarre candidate, he still was saying the typical American bullshit about like, work hard, low taxes, fucking American dream, America's the greatest country in the world, shit like that. It's still the same American bullshit. But communism, socialism, that's like completely divergent from, what the average American, like there are people on the left that get freaked out when you talk about communism, It's just not in the psyche of America at all. So maybe that could happen like, 40 years from now or something. Maybe that's even too soon probably, but yeah, that was the reference I was making when I said I couldn't we can't say that anymore. The CDC thing. Soda Water, thank you for the super chat. Just supporting the channel. I appreciate that. Appreciate all the support. Have you noticed how communists seem to be targeting black Tumblr users? I don't know anything about that. I still think it's obvious ideological censorship for sure. I mean, why would you say that you can't use evidence based? How is that okay? Like justify that to me. I would like to hear the argument that justifies that. Or words like transgender. Like, what is the justification for that? I moved up to Brooklyn for college, and to be fair, I've been shocked by the amount of people fine with me saying that I'm at the very least communism sympathetic. Yeah, this is what I was talking about earlier. There's lots of leftists in America. Like, they're not hidden. They're just not represented in government. So, you know, like earlier someone asked, like, do I feel like out of place or something like that, or is it weird to be a leftist or progressive in an unprogressive country? It's like, in some ways it is, but you know, I live in Alabama, which is like one of the most conservative states, and I still have tons of friends who are extremely progressive. I have a couple of friends who are socialists in Alabama. So yeah, transgender was on the list. I can't remember what the other ones were. Diversity, yeah, diversity was another one. It's such a gloomy day outside here. I think it rained earlier. Like, I'm not getting the light. I usually open my window when I stream to get the sunlight, but there's no sun out there. That's why I'm all blue, because I'm being lit by my computer screen instead of the window. Congrats to your state for not failing at the most basic moral test, by the way. You know what? I'll take it. I'm sympathetic to socialists. I understand the appeal. I don't know that it's worse than capitalism, but I'm still not totally sold. I mean, I get the appeal too. But it's going to be a minute before we actually elect like an actual communist. I mean, for a person who, I mean, Bernie Sanders wasn't a socialist, but he definitely called himself a socialist. And for a person who called himself a socialist, he definitely got pretty far. So, you know, maybe I'm underestimating people's reactions to the idea of socialism. I think a lot of people do think of social democracy when they think of socialism, but I'm not sure. I think probably most people who like self-identify as socialists probably have done at least a little bit of research as to what that means. They want to make it harder for any research to do with the vulnerable groups like trans people. Some of it's going to bite them in the ass, like fetus being on the list. And this is more of the American bullshit that I've been talking about. This is like the stuff that happens in America. Like, it's fucking ridiculous. It's like, it's embarrassing to like live in a country that does stuff like that. Well, the thing is, I think the problem with a lot of people is if something isn't working, they say, well, we need to scrap it and find something new. But I support reforming capitalism. Reforming capitalism because there are a lot of basic ideas in capitalism that I like. But it's obviously fucked up if you just let it go free and don't rein it in, as we have seen. And the same, but the thing is the same. I think a lot of people think about some of these other things as if they are uncorruptible, and I don't see where that mindset comes from. I think that's how, whenever you talk about communism or examples of communism and socialism in the world, people always say, well, that wasn't real communism. They didn't do it right. It's like, no, what happened is they tried communism and it was corrupted. They tried socialism, but it was corrupted. Just like we tried capitalism and it's been corrupted. So it's possible that all those things can be reformed, and if we reform at their most ideal, in their most ideal form that seems practical, capitalism is the one that makes the most sense to me, or that appeals to me the most. But if I lived in a communist, or if I lived in a socialist utopia, I would probably be fine. I don't think I would be like, this sucks. Well, the president clearly doesn't give a shit about free speech, or as Hassan Minhaj pointed out at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, which was amazing, by the way. It's like probably the best one ever. Except maybe Larry Wilmore saying "my nigga" to Barack Obama. Can't believe he did that. But Donald Trump doesn't give a shit about free speech, obviously. He's constantly like denouncing the press. He's trying to like get people fired for kneeling in the national anthem. Like, he doesn't give a shit about free speech. The phrase "eat the rich" has kind of been going around on Tumblr. What thoughts do you have on that? Well, okay, it's Tumblr. First of all, we need to look at Tumblr, and this is something I've had to learn personally. But you have to take Tumblr for what it is. Tumblr is this very insulated site where people, mostly younger people, like, people like under 25 for the most part, are like writing shit on their blog, on their own personal blogs, generally to audiences of, generally just small audiences. And occasionally something gets picked up and it goes viral. But think about it, if something goes viral on Tumblr, it usually stays on Tumblr. This is something I realized recently. You can go on Tumblr and find this random text post that has like 2 million notes on it, and no one else would have ever seen this before on any other site. But anyway, I think people use Tumblr to just sort of vent and express their emotions. And people do this on other sites too, Twitter stuff. Facebook to some extent, but a little bit less so. So I don't think we should be like looking at Tumblr as some kind of like breeding ground for like practical like human sentiment. It's just like a bunch of kids venting. Anyway, beyond that, when people say "eat the rich," I think it's I think it's just an expression of frustration about the massive income inequality in America. Or, in other countries too, but especially America. Like, I think the problem is not like individual rich people, but the problem is that this country coddles rich people and continues to rig the system in their favor. And so when you see that, you're kind of just like, fuck them, man. Fuck them. It just seems so weird to me that most Trump supporters are so obsessed with free speech, but can't see that their own president is trying to suppress it. I don't know, man. Cognitive dissonance is a motherfucker. It's hard for me to really even, I don't understand it either. And I don't think cognitive dissonance is like unique to Trump supporters, but I think that that's been part of his overall strategy, where like Trump can literally say something that's provably not true. Or he can say like, like now he's saying that fucking the Billy Bush tape is fake. Like what? What? And Trump and his supporters just go along with it. They're like, yeah, it's fake. Or like with the KKK thing, when like if you talk about how Trump was like soft on the not the KKK but the Charlottesville thing, where if you try to make the point that Trump was like soft on the Charlottesville Nazis or whatever, every Trump supporter would be like, but he condemned the Nazis. He did condemn the Nazis. And it's like, yeah, after like 2 weeks of criticism, you know, like cognitive dissonance is crazy. But I think, to be fair, I think a lot of the beliefs that people have are sort of fed to them, and they don't really come up with them themselves. They just sort of like watch Sean Hannity or something, and they're like, oh, I guess that's what I'm supposed to believe. Let me memorize that because that's what I'm going to say when I'm challenged about this. And again, this isn't unique to Trump supporters, but I think it's a particularly, I think it's a specific part of this Trump movement is sort of like, you know, like just alternative facts type stuff. I should read The Authoritarians by Bob Altemeyer. Psychological Studies of Right-Wing Authoritarian Fundamentalist Mindset. Okay. I'll make a note of that too. The freedom of speech alt-righters care about is really the freedom to be an asshole. I agree. And that's not even just the alt-right, the right. That's like this movement of centrists and like supposed liberals who are like, you know, rallying against the regressive left. Because you know, I don't like to use appeals to hypocrisy. I don't think it's a convincing argument, but you can kind of see someone's mindset by looking by checking how consistent they are in their criticisms and their beliefs. And these people, they never stand up for free speech when it's coming from the other side, you know? Like, for example, this I talked about this before, but there's a priest who got banned from speaking because he was pro-LGBT. I didn't see any of these free speech warriors standing up for this person. I didn't see it at all, you know? And the NFL kneeling thing, that's obvious free speech. It's like textbook free speech. Like if you look up fucking free speech, it's like demonstrations like that, or like the first thing you see. But these people talking about they should be fired, they shouldn't be able to do that. Like, come on. If net neutrality actually goes away completely, do you think it will open the door for all types of internet censorship? I really can't say. I don't think so. But what it will do is result in... It's just going to make the internet a lot less convenient. It's going to be annoying. But the thing is, like, for example, if Comcast is like, we're going to block Netflix... No one's gonna use Comcast, you know, if that's the case. Or it's possible that they could go after the little guy, but I feel like they have no incentive to do that. I don't like. I think most of these companies, all they care about is money. I don't think they care about like your political views and shit like that. But if something like threatens them financially, that's when they're gonna take action. So like, for example, I don't know, like if Comcast has a deal with fucking with like Yahoo or something. I don't know who owns these. I can't even remember. Like if Verizon has a deal with Yahoo and they want you to use Yahoo search, like is Verizon gonna block Google? They could. I don't think they will though, because I feel like then no one's gonna use Verizon. And to be fair, you know, in most cases we don't have much of a choice. Like where I live now, in terms of internet service providers, I can only use Spectrum or AT&T. That's like my only choices. And that's the thing too, Cameron. Google is coming after these guys. Google already has Google Fiber in a lot of countries, and as soon as Google Fiber is nationwide, everybody's gonna want it, and that's gonna put a whole lot of pressure on something like Comcast. So I don't know. I would be surprised if they just straight up start blocking stuff. But what you're gonna see is 100% they're gonna start slowing down like companies like Netflix, and so either Netflix is gonna have to pay them to operate at a normal speed or at a faster speed, which then those costs will probably get turned over to the customers. So Netflix is gonna start costing like, you know, $15 a month instead of $10 a month or whatever it is now. And you're gonna see competitor websites slowed down, and possibly they're gonna make you pay for it. I think they probably would prefer to make Netflix pay for it, but they might make you pay for it. They might say, "Hey, you want to use Netflix? It's gonna be $5 extra on your bill." And they can do that. And this is the thing, you know. I said I don't think they will block websites, but the thing is, they can now. They can if they want to. I just think that, I don't know, like, but also at the same time, the internet is undefeated, and the internet will find a way. It won't be ideal, but we'll find a way. Like there's gonna be a Chrome extension that, you know, puts you through a proxy that blocks Comcast bullshit. Probably, you know, the internet will find a way. Some company is gonna start up that's gonna be like, hey, we're gonna do our best to give you internets. Again, it's not ideal. It should just be open internet. That'd be perfect for everybody. But you know, fucking Ajit. I kind of am optimistic that net neutrality will prevail though, because, you know, like 90% of Americans want net neutrality. Most congressmen want net neutrality. This is literally just the passion project of one guy, literally one that, and that's kind of fucked up to think about. Like this is Ajit's pie, like, version of George W. Bush killing Saddam Hussein. Like this is just like his passion project that he's been working on since he first got, you know, involved in government. Well, I mean, it kind of makes sense because you know, that's what these cabinet. I mean, I get how this happened because we have these departments in government that have to make decisions on things. Like for example, the FDA, they independently decide whether a certain product is safe for us to buy. You know, we don't vote on that. and they don't always get it right, as you might know. So, you know, and that's kind of what happened the last time there was a vote on net neutrality. Is they literally voted to give the FCC the authority to maintain net neutrality. So that was kind of a double-edged sword when we did that. Because if you give them the authority to maintain net neutrality, then you also give them the authority to repeal it, which is what they did. As soon as the new chairman came in, which is this is something that he's been talking about his whole career. This is like the first thing he did. So it's a double-edged sword when we the first time that we did this, which is why I think something like net neutrality has to go to Congress. It has to be a bill written by Congress and voted on by Congress, because then it can't just be overturned by one guy. But then, you know, companies like Comcast and Verizon are going to start spending a lot of money lobbying Congress. So we'll see how that turns out. But I'm kind of optimistic, at least now. We'll see how, because, you know, it's going to courts, and we'll see how it goes from there. The courts have sort of been our lifesavers in this administration. Like, if you really think about it, like they've put a dent in trying to they put a dent in the Muslim ban. They put a dent in the wall thing. They put a dent in this net neutrality, or we hope they put a dent in this net neutrality thing. So we'll see what happens. I would be okay with directly electing federal executives. But here's the thing. Ajit Pai was appointed to the FCC, not as chairman, but just, you know, a part of the FCC by Barack Obama, who is a very popular candidate among leftists. So, you know, and even then he was talking about being anti-net neutrality, but I guess no one took him seriously because he didn't have the power to do anything. Did you hear about Cards versus Humanity versus the Wall? No. What is that? I can't believe he made that video. Did you guys see the Ajit Pai video? Like, what are you doing? What is your problem? What an asshole. You're just like legit an asshole, aren't you? That's like, I think that video is what convinced me that this was just a power play on his part. That this was his Bush killing Saddam Hussein, that he really didn't really give a shit about net neutrality. He probably just got a lot of money from Verizon or something. It's like, hey, can you make this happen? And he was like, hell yeah. And I'm going to taunt everybody on the way there. He either just has no self-awareness, or he's just like legit a douchebag. He probably just got, well, no, I think he was probably already rich. I was going to say maybe he got rich from this and now he feels like a big shot, but I think he was already rich, because he had a high position at Verizon before he joined the FCC. They bought some territory in the border to make it harder for Trump to build his wall. Oh, that's funny. you could have an honest conversation with Pi, what would you say to him? I honestly want to ask him about that video. I want to know what were you thinking? Because I've heard all of his arguments against net neutrality. You know, it's the same old shit. And honestly, like some of the arguments are interesting, and I actually agree with him on one thing, is that the FCC shouldn't have the power to just turn net neutrality on and off like that. And this is part of his plan, because if this goes through, the FCC can't bring it back. That's part of the deal, is he took the power away from the FCC. So they don't even have the power to bring it back. But I agree that they shouldn't have the power to turn it on and off. It should just be the Congress should have to vote on it. Or the people should vote on it, because we're the ones using the internet. Shit. I'm a little bit iffy about stuff like that, like referendums and shit, because then you get like Brexit and shit like that. But maybe for something like that, maybe the population should vote. I gotta sneeze. I guess it went away. That's weird. What made me skeptical was the fact that multi-billion-dollar corporations were vying for net neutrality. Net neutrality is good for certain companies. Like, it's really good for Google. It's really good for Netflix. So it's in their financial interest. It just also happens to be in the interest of the public who use the internet. Direct democracy isn't necessarily good at making policy, but is super good at fixing total fuck ups. Maybe so. Are there any other examples of direct democracy, like direct votes, like fixing something, or like just having like a really good result? Like, I know that many states, well, I guess every state has things that are just the people vote on. Like, for example, most of the countries in which marijuana is legal, or most of the states in which marijuana is legal, was voted on by a popular referendum or whatever prop. Under net neutrality, what do you think the first premium sites will be? Well, the sites that are going to be affected, I don't know if they're going to be premium, or if they're going to be slowed down, or if they're going to make the company pay more. But it's just going to be the companies that either directly compete with your internet service provider, or the ones that are costing them the most money. So Netflix is the easy example, and we know that Netflix will be targeted because Comcast already did this before internet service providers were reclassified as common carriers in 2015. Comcast already tried to slow down Netflix because it was just, Netflix uses so much bandwidth. It costs Comcast money. So they already did slow them down. And honestly, even before the FCC reclassified the ISPs, they already told Comcast, hey, don't do that. That's not right. Like, it wasn't even like a law yet, but they just kind of knew that you shouldn't do that. That's what, like, a lot of people say, like, well, we didn't have net neutrality before 2015. It's like, we kind of did, We just had certain companies that were trying to be shady, but every time they got caught doing something, the government told them to stop. So we kind of did have net neutrality, but we just kind of made it legit in 2015. But Netflix is sort of like the standard example because Netflix uses so much of the internet's bandwidth, and we've already seen it before. So I don't know what's most likely to happen. I think what I would expect to happen is Comcast tell Netflix that they have to pay them, or their internet's going to be slowed, or their service is going to be slowed, and Netflix pretty much has to do it, or else no one's going to be able to use Netflix. So that's what I think is going to happen. And then Netflix will probably in turn put those extra charges on the customers and make the service cost more. That's what I would expect to happen. And then also, after that, it's going to be competitors, just like, I don't know, just like you can't bring food from another restaurant into a restaurant. It's gonna be like that on the internet. They're gonna be like, hey, we got a partnership with Yahoo Search. So if you want to use Google Search, then you're either gonna have to pay us or it's gonna be slower. My ISP in Ireland used to throttle Netflix, which sucked. 480p video and a 240 MB download. Damn. So do other countries have net neutrality? I don't even know that. Do other countries have it? I feel like probably most of them don't. Yeah, see, that's the thing about the vote. Sometimes the correct decision is not the popular decision. Particularly, for example, like civil rights, I don't think civil rights should ever be put to a vote. I think it should be like, I think we should have a government, and this is obviously kind of a wishful thinking, but I think we should have a government that understands civil rights and understands when there's an inequality or an injustice, and they just need to make that the law. Europe has net neutrality. What do you think about Philip DeFranco? I'm fine with Philip DeFranco. I think he is generally fair in his analysis of situations, and I think he's a really easy way if you just want to stay like semi-informed about what's going on in the world, particularly in the internet world. He's a good choice, because sometimes like you don't want to just watch CNN all day. That shit's fucking stupid. But of course, he's like selective in what he decides to talk about. He talks about things that he thinks are important. The only problem with I have two problems with Philip DeFranco. The first problem is he has a super hard bias against feminism and social justice, and it kind of limits his credibility, because like I was saying before, he's usually fair about things, but he's just not fair when it comes to feminism. Like he automatically like assumes that whenever there's feminism or social justice involved, he automatically takes a disfavorable view against them, like every single time. If it was just sort of like a one-off thing, that would be one thing, but it's like every single time there's any person or any subject that has anything remotely to do with social justice, he automatically takes an unfavorable view. So that kind of sucks. And it's not that I need him to agree with me, but at least be consistent with your, you know, he's inconsistent about how fair like he's usually very fair, but he's just not when it comes to that. And the second problem I have with him is he is like the epitome of a fucking centrist, where he kind of in most cases believes that the moderate position is always correct, which I disagree with. I don't think that the moderate position is often or even usually correct. Usually when there's like multiple sides to an equation, one side is more right than the other side. But he kind of refuses to acknowledge that. He always says, like, you know, both sides have a point. Both sides are equally bad. Both sides are equally good. And I don't really agree with that approach. But overall, you know, as a news person, I guess, you know, that works, because even, you know, he gives his opinion on stuff a lot, but I think the whole like both sides have a point thing kind of works when you're like sort of delivering the news. So I'm not that worried about that. But, you know, overall I like Philip DeFranco. He, even just from a technical YouTuber aspect, Philip DeFranco's been an inspiration for me, just in terms of like how to make videos and how to present on video. So I respect him a lot for that. So I would say my overall reaction to Philip DeFranco is favorable. And I disagree with him on stuff a lot, but that's fine. It's fine to disagree. There's a lot of people seem to have forgotten. It's okay to disagree with people on stuff. Reminds me of Boogie. Yo, Boogie. The thing about Boogie is he is very clearly personally a liberal. I don't know if I would call him a progressive, but he's clearly on the left. Like, personally, he's very clearly on the left, but he just doesn't feel like his personal strategy is not to try to convince people of his ideas. He just kind of goes, if that's how you feel. You know, they could say the most outrageous, ridiculous shit, and he's just like, well, if that's how you feel. That's basically what Boogie does. But it's hard. He doesn't want to upset people, and it's hard to dislike Boogie because he's such a sweetheart. But I think that his disposition has been kind of harmful. I feel like especially when you're a big creator like that, I feel like part of your responsibility is to challenge your audience and to, I don't know, to at least to take, I don't know, to check your audience when they're being ridiculous. At least I think it's part of your responsibility, and he doesn't do it at all. Like, you don't even have to be argumentative, but I think you need to challenge your audience if they're saying stupid shit. And especially if they're like participating in like dogpiling and, you know, brigades and shit. Which, you know, I don't know how often his audience does that, but I'm sure I think they've done it before. But like I said, it's really hard to dislike Boogie. He's such a sweet guy. I like. I didn't meet him at VidCon, but I saw him. I was in the same room with him at VidCon a couple years ago. And he's just, I don't know, he's just like a sweet, warm person. I don't get that vibe from Philip DeFranco. I don't feel like he's a sweet, warm person. But he's probably a good person. He's probably a good guy. But I don't get the sweetheart vibe from him. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like if you're gonna talk about politics and social issues and stuff, then you should at least challenge your audience on those things. Like, what's the point of just being like, well, if that's how you feel, I brought this up, but I'm not gonna have a discussion about it at all. You can just say whatever you want, no matter how hateful and ridiculous it is. I don't know. I just don't get that. Like there are YouTubers that just completely avoid those topics because they don't want to challenge people. They don't want to even get involved in that. And that's fine if that's what you want to do. But if you're going to talk about it, like that, you know, I just criticized Philip DeFranco's approach, but that approach, you know, challenges people because no matter on what side you're on, he always presents the opposite side. So just by nature of doing that, it challenges the audience. But Boogie doesn't do that. Boogie says, here's my opinion, but you know, whatever you want to believe, that's cool. But like people said, like I don't think he wants to upset anybody. And you know, he has his own like mental health issues, which I think makes him non-confrontational and stuff like that, which I get. But it's like, I don't know, man, if you're going to bring it up, there needs to be more conversations about a creator's responsibility to their audience, and responsibility with regard to their audience in general. Like this has been overlooked for far too long. Did I see the new Star Wars movie? I did not. I'm not especially excited about Star Wars. Like, I don't really care that much, so I just kind of see it when I see it. I'll probably wait till it goes to the dollar theater, which is like, as soon as it leaves the regular theater, it goes to the dollar theater. My parents keep sending me this stupid PragerU video saying the alt-right is on the left. I think I'm going to lose my mind. Dude, there's been a bunch of PragerU ads on my videos and just on YouTube in general. It kind of sucks. I don't want them on my videos, but I have no control over what ads get shown on my videos. My guess is that PragerU just targeted their ads to anyone like remotely interested in politics or anything like that. But I've been seeing a lot of PragerU ads, and I've been getting them on my own videos, which I don't like. But yeah, fascism is on the left. Like, what is that? What is that all about? Who funds PragerU? Their videos are really well made. I don't know who funds them, but I feel like it's a pretty you know, it's a pretty successful organization. Like they probably got some money in the bank. And you don't really need that much money to make a decent video. More than once I accidentally watched an alt-right or skeptic channel and not realized it till halfway through the video. Any more Newsbreak collabs coming? I don't know, maybe. They told me that if I wanted to collab, I could just like hit them up, but I kind of feel like that's not true. Cause they're a more serious, not more serious, but you know, they've got like a whole production team and they're like part of like a more established company. So I just can't, I feel like I can't just be like, hey Francesca, come be in my video, please. But that would be cool. She's really funny. Francesca Fiorentini. If you guys aren't subscribed to the Newsbroke channel, I think you should do that. It's just like it's just like comedy news, basically. From a progressive point of view. It's Newsbroke is a channel made by AJ Plus, which is sort of like an offshoot of Al Jazeera that's targeted towards millennials. That's basically what AJ Plus is. And they produce a show called Newsbroke, which is hosted by a comedian named Francesca Fiorentini. I think that's the name. And she's really funny, and the show's really good. It's really smart, and it's really funny. And that show's like really underrated. Like I think they have like 25, 30,000 subscribers. I don't know why they don't have like 500,000 subscribers, but anyway, you guys should go subscribe. Yeah, I had that problem where I was getting suggested like anti-feminist channels and conservative channels and like just shitlord channels in general, even though I'd never watched them anymore. I think it was just still like a carryover from when I used to watch like Amazing Atheists and shit. But it doesn't really happen anymore. I think that, well, if you get suggestions on the side, you can click not interested. And I think if you do that enough times, it eventually realizes. Like I used to get suggested no bullshit videos all the time. If you don't know, no bullshit is the name of a YouTuber. And it's like it's like the stupidest fucking, it goes beyond a basic anti-feminist channel. It's just like a angry dude ranting, and nothing he says is intelligent or makes any sense or is useful. And it's like, why would YouTube think that I would want to watch this? Yeah, Francesca Ramsey is also cool, but that is not the Francesca I'm talking about. Francesca Ramsey is, she's like blowing up right now. Like she's making moves. I'm very proud of her, or happy for her. I'm saying I'm proud of her like I'm her dad or something. Like she's beyond me. Ew. Isn't Al Jazeera funded by the Qatari government? Yes, they are. They are not only funded by it, they are owned by it. But and that's problematic. But they make good content, and you take what you can get. Well, YouTube has gotten, they've learned that I don't like that kind of stuff. So, I think over time, if you like click not interested and you make sure you only click on certain videos, like for example, if they keep showing you Sargon videos and you never click on them, then YouTube is eventually going to stop showing them to you. It might take a while though. Yeah, I mean, if you just want to take a brute force approach and just block all, well, you can't block them all, but block all of the popular sort of anti SJW channels, you can use the video blocker extension, or you can use H Bomber Guy's extension. I guess he made it, but some of those channels on there are channels that I don't necessarily want to block. Who would you say is the most unbearable YouTuber you've ever seen on here? Unbearable. That's really hard to say. Unbearable. It's I don't know. There's so many people that are vying for that spot. Like, and then there's like a difference between YouTuber based on their content and then a YouTuber based on how they act in general. Like if you talk about like a YouTuber based on how they act, you know, you've got like Sargon and Bearing who are up there, like both like pretty awful people. But then you have like, but like Bearing's videos are just like, they're just whatever. Like they're kind of boring to me, but they're, you know, it's just like they don't like enrage me. But then there are people who do make really, really fucking unbearable, obnoxious videos, like No Bullshit, for example. Leafy. I just like watching a Leafy video is like is like nails on a chalkboard to me. Blair White. And you know, there's a lot of like unknown YouTubers that I've randomly stumbled across that are also pretty cringy. But the ones that I would say are just literally unbearable are the ones that are just like, just make mean-spirited, like attack bully videos that are just like, it's like, wow, you're just like not a good person. Like those are the ones that I really can't deal with. Have not seen The Last Jedi. I guess you weren't here, someone just asked that, but I've not seen it. Amos Yee. I remember I discovered Amos Yee a few years ago. Like before I even knew about the whole anti-SJW thing, I've just randomly found an Amos Yee video and I was like, what the fuck is this dude talking about? And then all of a sudden he like kind of, people started talking about him again. I was like, oh, that's that fucking kid that I saw before that was talking dumb shit. But I don't know. I'm in a phase, like a few years ago, I was sort of like, I watched a lot of those videos because, you know, I just wanted to know what people were talking about and I wanted to know the arguments these people were making. But I'm at a point now where I just have no interest in that sort of thing. I'm not, you know, I'm sort of over the whole, I don't know, the discourse, I guess. I just want to make stuff. This is where I'm at right now. I just want to make videos and I want to interact with my audience. I'm just over the whole fucking inter-YouTuber discourse. Like I just don't give a shit. I'm out T1J. A few last questions. What did you think of the latest YouTube Rewind video? Would you agree to do it? Did you see a I Hate Everything video about it? No. Okay, I didn't see I Hate Everything video about it. It was recommended to me a bunch of times, but I didn't watch it yet. I don't know if I'm gonna watch it. I'm not really into stuff like that anymore. The YouTube Rewind video, I liked it. I always like the YouTube Rewind videos. I know it's like a super big meme to hate on the YouTube Rewind video and like make fun of it and talk about how shitty YouTube is and how they don't care about small creators. But to me, the YouTube Rewind is always very inspiring. It kind of reminds me of why I became a YouTuber in the first place. And it kind of reminds me of the fact that YouTube is like this amazing platform that has changed so many people's lives. And it has this community of creators of all different types. And to me, it's like kind of moving. So I enjoy the YouTube Rewind every year. I love it. I do think it's getting to the point where they're just cramming people in there. Like there's like 300 different YouTubers in it. And, YouTubers are just now they're just in there for literally like a couple of frames, like half a second, to the point where you don't even recognize that they're in there until you see the credits. Like, oh, they were in there. I didn't even see them. And that kind of sucks because I feel like the whole point of putting YouTubers in the YouTube Rewind is so that fans can watch and be like, oh yeah, there's PewDiePie. Hey, there's fucking Grace. Hey, there's fucking Captain Sparkles. But now you can't even do that because they're in there for a frame. So what the suggestion is, have more than one. And people say have regional ones, for example. That would be great. Have a American one, have a UK one, have a South American one, have a Japan one. That would be great. They could do that. They could afford it. And then you could invite a lot of creators and give them a decent amount of screen time. So well, the YouTube Rewind, every scene in YouTube Rewind is a reference to something that was either a trend or an event or a person or something that happened in that year. So like the slime, that was a reference to the fact that slime videos were really, really huge in 2017. So that's why there was a slime fight. That's why it's called Rewind. It just it just kind of references a bunch of shit that was like songs and memes and stuff that were popular. I actually did see Emma Blackery's video about YouTube Rewind. I kind of see where she's coming from, but I think she's kind of being a brat. Honestly. But like I said, I agree with the suggestion of having more than one Rewind video every year. Rewinds for different genres would be cool too. But I think if they did, because I think they want their YouTube Rewind to be sort of like this big video at the end of the year and get like 100 million views. And if they do different genres, that's not going to happen for each genre. Like the fucking, I don't know, like the ASMR community or something is not gonna, they're not gonna get 100 million views. But it would be cool if they did that. I think they should do that. Although I like the idea of all of the different genres coming together, because that's sort of what YouTube is about. Is like all these different YouTubers that make a whole bunch of different types of videos all on the same platform. So I kind of like the idea of mixing genres. Like it's cool to see like one of the scenes was Philip DeFranco and Casper, they're like digging the grave or whatever, if you've seen it. And those are like two different genres, but they're in the scene together. So I think that's cool. Or like if you see like fucking KSI dancing with Emma Blackery or something like that, it's arguably two different genres. I don't know, they're kind of similar, but well, I mean, there's fucking hundreds of thousands of YouTube creators. No one should expect to know who everyone is. And especially now, because people are only on there like for a frame. Like unless you're like, an avid YouTube watcher that just keeps up with YouTube and watches YouTube all day, every day, like you shouldn't expect to know who everyone is. I actually knew who a good bit of the people are, but I'm a person who watches YouTube all day, every day. So you would expect me to know. But there are still a lot of people, especially a lot of the international YouTubers that I'm not familiar with. you had to go back in time and stay there, what time period would you pick? Well, you understand that you can't ask black people about going back in time. It doesn't really work. I like this period. The period with internet. That's the one that I like. The period with high-speed internet. It's the best. It's the best. I would go back to 2010 so that I could start over with YouTube and do it right this time. If I could go back and start over, I'd probably have like 5 million subscribers by now. Probably not actually, but actually maybe so. Because I could do it right. Back in the day when it was like before all this algorithm nonsense. Yeah, I think this most of the slime now is made of glue. Yeah, there would be multiple ways to get rich if you could go back in time. And I go forward in time to after Donald Trump is president. Well, I had a spam bop on my comments of my latest video. It may have been the same person. I'm not sure. Anyway, I feel like the the bots are like getting smarter. Like they're learning how to filter. They're learning how to make their messages seem legit to the software, even though they're obviously not to a human. So it's kind of for a lot of people have come later. Maybe this is because the timing of my streams is kind of, it's never the same. Maybe that's why there's different amounts of people. But I'm probably going to stream for about 30 more minutes. I've been going for 2 hours. "20 videos in the past day." What the fuck? Do I have a Twitter account? Me? Yeah. Twitter is the that's where I'm like most active on social media. I'm a little too active actually. I've like gotten myself into trouble on Twitter. Well, I haven't gotten myself into trouble, but what I've learned, it's like it's really hard for me to remain sort of like professional on Twitter. And I think that I've kind of fucked up a lot of my relationships with some of my audience because they kind of see me like going ham on Twitter and they're like, oh man, I thought he was like this fucking chill dude. And I am, but something about Twitter just kind of fucking riles me up. But I've been doing a lot better now. Basically, I had to like I had to turn off my notifications basically. That's how I remain calm on Twitter, because I don't know if you know about Twitter. Twitter is like a fucking nightmarish hellscape. I think it's a Ron Berg, or not Ron Berg, but Ron Swanson line. It's a nightmarish hellscape. So it's just a bunch of fucking wacky people on there that are like constantly trolling you and sending you infuriating messages and replying to your shit with obnoxious stuff. And it's like hard to keep your cool sometimes. But as a person who has like a small following, it's not a good look to just be like losing your cool on social media. So I've had to work on that. I have not seen Star Wars. Do I listen to any podcasts? Not regularly. I'm trying to get more into that. I have to get my car set up so that I want to listen to some podcasts in my car, but I have an old car, so all I have is a tape player. So I have to but the tape player is broken, so I have to figure out a way to set it up to put an aux cord in there. I think I'm probably just going to replace the whole radio. Have you ever considered voice acting? Most games I play seem to have gruff action heroes with really deep monotone voices. And I think you'd be great for that. Well, I mean, if someone wants to pay me to do voice acting, I would love to do it. But I've never looked into it personally. Like, voice acting is not really a thing you just kind of just go on the internet and say, hey, I want to do this, hire me. Like, it's kind of really difficult to get into. Yeah, Sean's videos. Honestly, I feel like Sean is fine on Twitter though. But I see what you mean. But that's just because on YouTube, it's like, especially in a regular video, you sit down and you fucking plan it out. You, if not write the whole thing. Like, my videos are almost always 100% scripted. So I get to write it out and then just go perform it. Like, it's not like just emotional off the cuff. Like, I have time to like get over my emotions if I have them. And even with the live stream, on the live stream, this is just me being me. Like, this is how I am in person, you know? But on Twitter and also on live streams, I'm not getting bombarded by nonsense and trolls, because these are like generally the people who come to the live streams are people who have favorable opinions of me, or at least not unfavorable. But on Twitter, it's just the wild west on there, and you just get bombarded with a bunch of bullshit all the time. And there's a combination of not being face to face, which I think is weird. Like, I think one of the reasons why live streams are often civil is because especially small live streams like this where I don't have that many people watching, like, people are less likely to just be an asshole to you when they're looking at your face. And the same thing on Twitter, from my end, like, I don't see their face. They're not real people to me. So I just kind of just say whatever. And the same thing back and forth. And I've had to work on that. And part of how I've worked on it is by literally hiding my notifications. So I just don't see it. And if you look at almost every public figure that's like really popular, almost all of them are really held back on their social media. There are exceptions. For example, like Talib Kweli. I don't know if you know who that is, but it's a rapper, and he just spends all day arguing with people on Twitter. And it's like, how do you fucking do that? I'm not even that bad, but most people are just really subdued on their social media, which is what you have to do. You take whey protein after your workouts. Yes. I want to do the Dick Coughlin thing and go totally 100% scripted, but I'm way too jumpy and unfocused. I guess you mean unscripted. Yeah. I can't do unscripted. As you can tell by how bad I am at talking. Although I'm working on talking and public speaking. That's something that I'm consciously working on. I'm trying to get rid of the pauses. Well, the pauses are okay because they can be used for effect, but I'm trying to get rid of all the ums. I say a lot, and I say a lot, and I say like a lot. So I'm trying to like work on that. I just said like. I keep saying it. Now I'm really conscious of it. Like, I think it's okay to say it a little bit, but I say it way too much. Like in real life, I'm known for being very calm and reserved. Like, I'm not shy, but I'm known among my friends for being just a pretty like reserved person. And that's just how I am in real life. So people who only know me from Twitter probably would not get that impression at all. A Brummy. I can't tell the difference between UK accents or English accents. But I mean, the live stream is probably as close as you guys will get to me being how I am in real life, and this is how I am. I'm actually relatively non-confrontational. I avoid drama in my life. Like, I'm not interested in that sort of thing, which kind of makes it weird that I spend so much time talking about these controversial issues and stuff. But it just happens to be what I'm actually interested in. I just don't want to. I'm not interested in the conflict and the drama, but I'm interested in the conversation. I'm interested in the civil conversations. Yeah, I think I can tell the difference between a Scottish and an English accent. But the thing is, there's so many different English accents that sometimes I feel like they kind of like meld. You ever forget which person is which on Twitter when people have similar names? Well, I don't get the examples that you gave mixed up, but there are. That has happened before. Can you tell a Canadian accent? Sometimes. The thing is, Canadian accents sound similar to a lot of Northern American accents. Like, to me, like, for example, to me, people in Canada, and there's more than one Canadian accent, but my idea of a Canadian accent sounds exactly the same as like a Minnesota accent. And even people in like places like Connecticut and stuff kind of talk like that. But there's a lot of American accents as well. Yeah, a Bolt and Surrey. I actually dated a Canadian girl for a short while, and she says sorry all the time. Like, she had lived in America like since her teen years, but she still like was like sorry. Yeah, it's usually just certain words. I think the difference in American accents are slighter than the difference in like UK accents. Like the difference between like a fucking like a posh accent and a Cockney accent is just like so completely drastic. While the difference between like I don't know, like a Midwest accent and a West Coast accent is not, you know, there's an obvious difference, but it's not that big of a difference. There are some accents that are really notable, like Boston accents, for example, or like deep New York accents are like really notable, or like deep South accents. I wish I could do more accents. One day I might just like practice accents and just try them out. I mean, I don't. We did the banned words did get brought up, but I don't really know what to say about it. I think we all agree that it's pretty stupid. I don't think there's a such thing as a non-accent. There's sort of like what's considered the standard for your country, but that's sort of arbitrary. Like whenever usually when someone from out of town or from a different country than America thinks about a American accent or does an American accent, they usually do a California accent. And that's not a non-accent, that's just a specific accent. That's the accent that you see on TV all the time, you know. And then there's like a almost like a newscaster accent. And I think there's a name for it, but I can't remember. But it's just another accent. It's not a non-accent. Same thing with like the what's it called? Received BBC fucking pronunciation or some shit like that. You know, that's like the newscaster English accent, but it's just another accent. Have you considered doing more formal debates like Christy Winters? Nope. I have no interest in doing that whatsoever. I don't think I would like it. I don't think I would be good at it. And it's just not what I'm interested in. Like I was saying before, I don't know if you were here, but what I want to do is make videos. That's what I like doing. That's what I want to do. I want to make videos and I want to interact with the audience, with my civil fans. And that's it. I'm not interested in debates. I'm not interested in arguments with other YouTubers. I'm not interested in like response videos and Google Hangouts. Like I'll have a discussion with someone, you know, just to chill, but I'm not interested in like a debate. No, I have no problem with Christy Winters. I think she's sweet. I think she's like kind of creepily obsessed with Bering. To be fair, Bering has like been a huge asshole to her, but she kind of like refuses to get over it. What did you think of the latest Contra video? Like the re-edit of the alt-right video? I mean, I think it's a great video. I don't think there's any video on YouTube like it. That's basically like, and it's interesting because it's the type of video that I wouldn't make. A video like saying, "Hey, here's why Nazis are wrong." Like I wouldn't make that video because that seems insulting to my audience. But ContraPoints is like brilliant, so she can figure out a way to make those kinds of videos and make them interesting and make them still make you think about stuff. Well, I mean, I think that there are people that are sort of, like these people are, they're like attacking the left, they're attacking marginalized groups of people, they're attacking women. And I think that there's a lot of people who believe, and I think it's a reasonable belief, that the way that you have to defend yourself in order to deal with that. And I think that that's sort of what Christy Winters is doing, is like, well, I need to defend myself because these people keep attacking me. Where my personal view is, I just can't deal with that. I just need to ignore these people and focus on the things that I'm actually interested in, that's actually going to fulfill me. That's my personal view. But I don't think it's unreasonable to say, hey, we should provide some kind of resistance to these constant attacks. I just don't feel like that's what I want to do. It's funny because Contra, I think Contra said that she regrets creating Tabby, or like she's kind of ambivalent about the Tabby character because so many people like Tabby, even though Tabby is supposed to be like an exaggeration. Like it's supposed to be an example of how you're not supposed to be. He's gonna have Tabby return in a different way. Well, we'll see. I mean, the Tabby character is good. Contra's really good at coming up with characters. All of her characters are like really fucking good. Like all of them are. And she's really good at like, like I get costume design, I guess. Like I just don't understand how ContraPoints is so good at everything. Like how the fuck did she learn how to do that so quickly? Like I've been a YouTuber for like fucking 10 years and I barely know how to work a camera. Do I work out? Yes. Although it's been a couple weeks since I've worked out, but I'm actually gonna start back tomorrow. So I got about 10 minutes left, guys. I'm like really hungry. If you I guess it's lightning round if you got your last couple questions. Thanks for coming to my stream as always. I'm just happy that I finally got to say hi to you. That's cool. Well, I stream every Sunday around the same time, so yeah, I'm pretty biased towards Contra. I remember Skulls of Web, thank you for the $5 super chat. Have a beer on me. I will do that for sure. Thank you. Yeah, I don't like. I remember when I first found ContraPoints, I was like, "Oh, hey, this is a smart person. They're like making nuanced arguments. That's pretty cool. I like that." And now I'm just like, "Fucking, I love ContraPoints. I'm such a fanboy. Teach me your ways." It's crazy. What do you think of Sonic franchise? Most of the Sonic games are bad, which is kind of it's kind of weird that that's the case because Sonic is such a beloved character. But there's like I don't know, there's like maybe 4 good Sonic games out of like 25. Well, I would say most of them are not bad, but most of them are mediocre. But some of them are bad. Um, but I still remember when I got a Sega Genesis for Christmas when I was like fucking I don't know like 5 or something. I was older than 5, I think. I was probably like 7. And it came with Sonic the Hedgehog 2 on Sega Genesis. Still one of my favorite games ever. Such a great game. Probably Sonic 2, the original Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is probably my favorite, but I think that's mostly nostalgia. I really like Contra's videos. I like Contra's video about um police brutality about Baltimore, and then I like the one about rape culture. I think the rape culture video is very important because because I've always disliked the term rape culture, and that video kind of swayed me on that. So, and that rarely happens when I watch these days because I usually kind of know myself and I kind of have considered all of the arguments. So it's hard for me to watch something that just like legit changes my mind on something. But that actually did. I forget what it's called. I think it has Baltimore in the title. I can't remember. Bum, 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 bum. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 also has one of the greatest video game soundtracks of all time. I don't know if it touches on police brutality. I don't think the whole video is about police brutality, but it's just about sort of like race and in retrospect to Baltimore and that kind of thing. I also think that Sonic Adventure 1 is underrated. I kind of like that game. Everyone always talks about Sonic Adventure 2, which also had a good soundtrack. Oh, I remember the cartoon. It is pretty cool. Pop Culture Detective is good. I've found them recently. I think someone suggested it to me. Final Fantasy VII. I mean, that's the classic. Definitely had a good soundtrack. I used to just listen to the soundtrack in my car, just the Final Fantasy VII soundtrack. I was planning on starting a channel with critical thinking education as one of my main services. Do you have any advice as a YouTuber? Um, kind of depends on what your goals are. You got to decide what you want. What do you want out of this channel? Do you just want to like build an audience? Do you want to get rich and famous? Do you want it to be a full-time job? Or do you just want a place to express yourself and you're not that worried about the other stuff? Because depending on what you want, the way you go about it is differently. The way you go about it is different. But if you are completely new to video creation and video content, I would say you should spend like at least a year just like making as many videos as possible and learning how to do it good, because it's unlikely if you're new that you're good at it yet, which is not a knock on you, but that's just how things are. When you first start something, you're probably not good at it. And I think a lot of people want the accolades and they want the respect and they want the audience before they even have anything that's good. So I would say like at least a year of just making as much content as possible and getting good at it. And maybe you'll get lucky and, you know, get a bunch of subscribers and views, but most people don't. I mean, you know, you'll probably get like a couple hundred in a year or something, but you may get lucky. You may get thousands. Like there's a YouTuber, I can't remember his name. I can't remember, but he started his channel like 9 months ago and he has 1 million subscribers, you know, just because the videos are that good and he hacked it correctly. So I think the very first thing you need to focus on is just making really good videos, and find other people that are making stuff that are similar to what you want to make and figure out what they're doing that's successful and fucking copy them. This is the thing a lot of people are afraid to do, is copy people. Fucking copy people, and eventually you'll discover your own methods. You'll discover your own style. But if you see someone else doing something that's cool and you like it, you want your videos to be like that, just copy it. And then over time, you can add to it, or you can take away from it, or you can be like, hey, instead of doing this, I'm going to do that. But copying stuff is how you learn how to do what other people are doing. That's good. And then from there, there's all kind of stuff you can do. If you want to win on YouTube, if what you want to do is gain subscribers and views, you have to play the game. That's just how it is. You could, or you can just wait to get lucky. And by play the game, I mean, you want to have catchy titles. You want to have eye-catching thumbnails. You want to make sure your tags are right. You want to make sure your descriptions are right. You want to make sure that you're uploading enough videos, and you want to make sure that the videos are long enough, like that kind of stuff. And that's just how it works. You know, if you're not willing to play the game, then you shouldn't expect to win. But if all you want to do is just make some content and get a few people to look at it, then I would say just work on making it really good. Seems like a lot of YouTubers also emphasize that early on you can experiment and find your voice without worrying about alienating the audience that you don't have yet. Yeah, of course. Unless you believe that you're amazing and you don't need to work on your content, which is almost never the case. I think just working on finding your voice is always valuable. Even if you've been doing it for years, you should always do that. What pronouns do you use to describe people pre-transition? Like if I mentioned content over the video, I think you would say she, because it's the same person. That's what I would do. I would just use their current pronoun, the pronoun that they prefer. Because it's still them, you know? It's not a different person. Even ContraPoints are role models, though. Like I said, I'm doing this more so to make the subject palatable than I am to be famous. Yeah. Well, that's cool. And I would just say, just go for it and see what happens, and go from there. Because me and ContraPoints, we have two completely different strategies, and you know, we even though we both have like we've seen different amounts of success at different times, but we do like, you know, for example, I like play the game. You know, I have like really obnoxious thumbnails. I try to make my titles clickable. I upload a lot of videos, but ContraPoints is opposite of that. ContraPoints doesn't put that much effort into her thumbnails. Like, you can tell that there's some thought put into it, but it's not that much effort. Her titles aren't like necessarily like clickbaity or anything like that. And she uploads like once a month. So it's two completely different styles, but both can work, as you see. So I would say just go for it and see what happens. Adorkable misogyny. Yeah. I think, I mean, H Bomber guy is I think he's on a whole nother level, I think. Melwing, thank you for the compliment. ContraPoints does have strong Patreon support, but that's the thing. Like this, that's a whole nother skill set. This is what I'm saying. ContraPoints is like good at everything, but another skill set that she has is engaging her audience and getting her audience excited, and that's something that I don't feel like I'm that good at, and I think that's why. Like, and part of it is because she's been really super personal online. And so people see ContraPoints as like the chosen one. Like I kind of see her like that. Like they see her as the chosen one, and part of that is just because her content is so good and so unique, and part of that also is the way that she interacts with her audience. Like she's really good at engaging people and making people feel comfortable and making people feel like she's their friend or their big sister or that sort of thing. And I think that translates into the Patreon support. People buy her stuff all the time, and that's just, you know, she just knows what she's doing. And part of it is just, I think her natural personality is just attractive to people, and she's funny. Being funny is very underrated. Like, people will support you just because you're funny. I think that's why a lot of these anti-feminist creators got a lot of support, just because people thought they were funny. And that's like probably one of my big downfalls is like, I'm not that funny. I need to take a humor class or something. But you got to be careful with that, you know, being jealous of other people, because it rarely turns out well when you kind of, you know, comparing yourself to other people and stuff like that. Just got to find out your own path. T1J, to be honest, is the impromptu ASMR sessions that keep bringing you back. Not really. That stuff is like kind of cringy to me. I don't even watch that. These streams always contain a lot of conversation about Contra. Yeah, well, I think as far as progressive YouTubers, there's just not that many that focus on political content that are big or relatively big. So like the only ones, like depending on what you mean by big, but like the only ones really are like ContraPoints and H Bomber Guy, and I guess me. And none of us are particularly big, but just to say like over 50,000 subscribers. It's like Sean, ContraPoints, H Bomber Guy, me, who else? That's like it. So those are the names that always get brought up, you know? And me personally, I'm a huge fan of ContraPoints, so that's why I'm happy to talk about it. I think ContraPoints is like the best fucking progressive YouTuber, like literally the best. I mean, Destiny to some extent, but I think that Destiny is sort of an outlier in the leftist political community, because I don't know if he's really a progressive. He's definitely a leftist, but and also he's just not really a YouTuber. Like he's a Twitch streamer that uploads his VODs on YouTube. Yeah, Riley Dennis as well. Yeah, I think Riley Dennis is just less beloved as someone like ContraPoints and H Bomber guy. But a lot of that is because, there's been a lot of work done to tarnish her reputation. Yeah, Lindsay Ellis is amazing, but Lindsay, focuses on pop culture and stuff and doesn't often like focus on politics and stuff. I think Riley Dennis's videos are amazing, especially if you're interested in topics relating to the trans experience, which is interesting to me because I'm pretty ignorant about that. And I feel like Riley Dennis is probably the best YouTuber when it comes to talking about stuff like that. But I think a lot of people sort of subconsciously are reel back from that because there's just been so much drama surrounding her. And then it goes back to the thing where it's like she's not that funny, she doesn't come off as like your friend. And that's sort of the why someone like ContraPoints or H Bomber guy, or even Sean to some extent, like Sean is not like cracking jokes all the time, but he just seems like this really pleasant guy that could be your friend. So I think that's part of it. And I could say the same for me. Like I think there's a reason why I haven't blown up in the same way that H Bomber guy and Contra has, because I'm sort of a little distant, I guess. And some of that is on purpose. Like I'm not trying to share my entire personal details of my life on the internet. Like I'm not like a private person, but it's just like I don't feel like it just seems random to do that. But I do feel like I could learn to engage better, and that's one of the reasons why I started this live stream. Yeah, Cat Black as well. Cat Black has sort of been a little inactive on YouTube recently, though. But I feel like if she was more active, we'd probably be talking about her a lot too. Yeah, I definitely would say that women and trans non-binary people are like two of the, if not the two biggest targets of hatred on YouTube. And you can see this even with ContraPoints, who we've been talking about how much everybody loves her. When she came out as trans, she like immediately started getting way more hatred and way more criticism and way more bullshit. It's just a thing. That's just, that's how people are. It kind of sucks. Yeah, Ash is interesting because Ash has a lot of subscribers, but she's sort of outside this like mainstream. I guess because she doesn't talk about politics that much, but she does talk about like gender issues and stuff like that. Yeah, I think it. Well, yeah, I believe you that disabled women become targets. I'm not that familiar with that, but I feel like it's specifically certain types. Like I feel like there's not really that many black YouTubers in the political space, which is unfortunate. But for example, I don't think I get more hate because I'm black. I don't really see it. Did you hear that black women voted against Roy Moore 98-2? I did. Shout outs to black women. Basically, black people won that election for us in Alabama. Black people decided to show up. And if we can continue getting black people to show up, like we could change this whole fucking country. Because there's a lot of black people in Alabama. Like we could change this whole state. There's a lot of black people in Alabama, but I think a lot of them, for one, most of them are victims of voter suppression. But for two, they're just like kind of convinced that there's no reason to vote. But yeah, I said I was gonna leave like 10 minutes ago. I need to eat. So 5 minutes. One last question if you have it. Thanks everyone for coming to my stream. If you would like to support the stream, I do this stream every week, by the way, like every Sunday. I try to do it around 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. I started around 2 this time. And the streams are usually 2 hours, but lately they've been going a little longer because it's just, you know, I like when the chat is active. When the chat is active, then I just want to keep talking because I want to engage with you guys, but, you know, I don't want to stream all day, all night. But if you would like to support the stream in a long-term way, consider becoming a patron on Patreon. The Patreon is not just for my normal videos; it's also to support the stream. So, you know, giving like $1 a month is just another way to make all of this sustainable. So consider doing that. Follow me on the internet, on the social medias. I got all the social medias. It's on your screen right now, actually. I hope you guys like my new overlay. I think it's pretty slick. I might change the color. I really like purple though. I'm a big fan of purple. I don't know. Anyway, I have Twitter. I got Instagrams. I got Facebook. It's all the one janitor. Have you considered doing those postmortem or retrospective style streams where you look back at an old video? I actually want to do that. I probably will do that. I didn't want to do. I kind of felt like I don't want to be copying her, but I think I might do that, especially if people are interested. Like if you guys are interested in that, I will definitely do it. Great stream, but I still got 30 minutes of work left. Sad face. Hey, that's not that much time. Just sing Bohemian Rhapsody in your head 6 times, and then it'll be done. That's what I literally used to do that because Bohemian Rhapsody is about, I think it's like 6 minutes long, and I know all of the words. So when I just wanted time to pass by, I would just sing that song in my head over and over. And it kind of worked because I love that song. Anyway. I imagine watching those videos would be pretty cringy, but that's pretty cool. I guess that's part of the entertainment. Thank you for the super chats I got today. Who gave me a super chat today? Skullzubutt, Electric Lomain, Soda Water. Thank you for the super chats. And we will be back here next Sunday. I should have a video. Let's see. I'm going to have a live stream, a stream highlight coming up in a couple of days, so look out for that. One day I'll have a video upload schedule, or maybe I won't. I don't know. It would be good if I did, but I just can't do it right now. I'll have a stream highlight up in a couple days, and then a couple days after that, I'll have another video essay. If you haven't watched my video, my most recent video, which I released yesterday, it's called "Should Football Be Banned?" You should watch it, and please share it on your social media if you enjoyed it. If you didn't like it, you don't have to share it. That's cool. Is that it? I need to like standardize what I say at the end of streams so I make sure I cover everything that I want to cover. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I could say, you know, Check out my merch, theonejanitor.com/store. I have t-shirts. If you have a YouTube channel, you should get TubeBuddy. I use TubeBuddy. It's awesome. Everyone who has a YouTube channel should use it. It just helps you optimize your channel. It helps you with keywords. It helps you with bulk updating stuff. It helps you set templates. It's just really awesome plugin. theonejanitor.com/TubeBuddy. Affiliate link. If I get 50 people to sign up, I get like a free month. It's free, but you can pay for a premium version, and you should pay because it has like really awesome features, but you still get some pretty good features for free. If you need web hosting, use Bluehost. theonejanitor.com/Bluehost. It's good for people who are just like first starting a website. It's not like the all-time greatest web host, but it's really, really cheap. So if you just need some cheap web hosting, check it out. Yeah, TubeBuddy, TubeBuddy. theonejanitor.com/TubeBuddy. I use it. Like I 100% use it all the time. I pay for it. That's how good it is. I literally pay for it every month. But you can start out with the free version and then decide later if you want to pay. If you want Hulu, everybody knows what Hulu is. Go to theonejanitor.com/Hulu. You get a free trial. I think it's a 30-day trial. It might be a 2-week trial. So if you don't have that, so I can plug all my stuff. I got the mad affiliate links, dude. You gotta find. This is why like you can't put all your eggs in one basket. You can't focus on the AdSense. You can't focus on the Patreon. You got to plug all your affiliate links. You got to get some products. You got to get some merch. That's how you make it. What else do I got? I feel like I got something else. That might be it. I think that's it. Anyway, have you ever watched Canadian football? I've watched it. It's pretty cool. It actually might be superior to American football, just in terms of rules. In terms of actually watching it, it's not just because the players aren't as good, but I think I like the rules better. I think I'm gonna go now, though. Thank you guys for coming to my stream as always. I'll see you next week. Follow me on Twitter. I'll be around. If you want to send me a question or something, you can email me at hello@theonejanitor.com. Or you can ask me a question on askfm/theonejanitor or curiouscat.me/theonejanitor or theonejanitor.tumblr.com/ask. Anyway, see you. Bye.